I went over most of the controls and the settings and a lot of stuff on this vehicle before, but I just want to point out something again, that this vehicle, the buttons are mostly like touch sensitive or swipe sensitive, and it doesn't have like turn knobs and traditional type knobs that most people are familiar with in vehicles. So it's a little bit different, and I recommend kind of playing around with it in your driveway a little bit before you get out on the road, because basic functions like turning the radio up and down, changing the speed on the cruise control, stuff like that, just about everything requires just a little bit of familiarity, because it's real easy to accidentally, so like say when you're going forward and back on the cruise control here, if you swipe it up, you take and just swipe up, it's gonna go in 5-mile-an-hour increments. So it's real easy to, like, you know, rapidly go too fast. Another thing is when if you just want to press the plus and you just press it, there's actually two settings. One is a shallow press and one is kind of more of a deeper press. And it's real easy to hit the deeper press, and that is another way of going to that 5-mile-an-hour increment. So if you just kind of hit it a couple of times thinking you're going just a few miles an hour faster by, you know, say you want to go from 51 to 55, well, if you press it too hard, you're going, instead of 3 miles per hour faster, you're going 15 miles an hour faster. Just because you just have to get familiar with the light touch and then harder touch, and it's real easy to do the harder touch, or just accidentally swiping your hand here, or swiping this way or swiping that way. You know, it's real easy to touch stuff over here. Same thing with this side. I mean, it's been several times where I accidentally turn on the heated steering wheel and it's like warm outside, so all of a sudden I feel the steering wheel is warm, and then somehow I accidentally pressed it. So, you know, something to consider there. And the gauges, you know, like I mentioned in the full overview, it has different views, and there's, you know, different settings here, and it's really, really fantastic. It's actually just a screen, and it has a lot of different views. I'll just kind of cycle through, you can see what I'm talking about. And I like the fact that you can actually have the map here as well as over here. So you can have the map if you're trying to find a particular location and you really want to focus on it and have it right there in front of you. That's really handy to have. Also, this setting here, the travel assist button here, you do have to set the cruise control and have it set, then you have to hit the travel assist every single time. So it doesn't just automatically turn on when you set the cruise control. But it is really neat. It does a pretty good job of keeping the vehicle in its lane, keeping an eye on what's in front of you. And it has this neat little kind of like video game type thing going on with where it kind of shows you an animation of the vehicle moving. If there's a vehicle in front of you, it shows you that. You can also set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you here. And so it's pretty neat. And I like the way it's kind of a simplistic design here in this particular screen on the, you know, this view. It's not too complex. There's not a lot of things going on. It's just very simple. The only thing is, it's kind of like tempting to constantly look at it because it looks so good. So, you know, trying to keep your eyes on the road is more important, but it's real tempting to look at that sometimes. And, yeah, because it looks kind of like a little high graphics video game from like the 80s or something. The heads-up display is good. It's kind of dim. I mean, I've adjusted the brightness and stuff like that, but it's excellent at nighttime, and it really does a good job. I mean, it's fine. It gives you necessary information. It doesn't get in your way. I'd rather have it kind of like a little bit on the dim side than overly bright or overly trying to, you know, get in your way. But yeah, the heads-up display is good. Now the touchscreen, another thing that you have to play around with while you're driving, I mean before you drive, because there's so many things you can accidentally press. So like say typically, this is my thing, I think other people might do this, is to, in order to do a press on a touchscreen, and it also has like, you can just hover your finger close to something and it kind of like has a little, you know, animation type thing. But to stabilize my hands, let's say I want to press this button and I'm driving and there's bumps everywhere, so my hand's kind of like going like that. Well, I like to rest my hand here to stabilize my hand and then do the press that I need to press and kind of stabilize my hand. Can't do it with this vehicle because there's touch sensitive buttons down here as well. So it's really easy to change the temperature and for the driver and passenger, and then in the middle is the volume for the radio. So it's real easy to just accidentally start pressing buttons here at the bottom. So you kind of have to like try to avoid that at the same time you're trying to, you know, not press the wrong thing. And of course, you don't even actually have to press it. All you have to do is just kind of like hover your hand over certain things and it just kind of automatically does stuff. So that's another thing. You don't even actually have to intentionally press something to accidentally do something. So it's kind of like you kind of want to, so you're just kind of waving your hands, it pops things up. And then, you know, it's one of those things where you have to kind of play around with it. Like swiping down gives you some stuff. And then you have this home button, which alternates between there and there. This goes up, you have some more stuff there. And I have a night video, you can check it out, where I go over the ambient lights. And which is looking really nice. It does help out. And you know, it uses the term ambient lights, but that's a kind of industry term. And you know, it also has some functionality to the lights. It's not just for, you know, for looks. I mean, some of the lights like down here is controlled with the ambient lights, and it's a functional light here. So, and the same thing with the floorboards, that kind of stuff. But so yeah, that's pretty good. Now down here, same thing. You have some buttons here. You can accidentally press them, but also, you know, like if you wanted to go to the climate, you have to hit here. That pops up, and then now you have a lot of settings. You got smart climate, you got classic climate, and then you got air care, which is kind of like cleaning the inside air, which is pretty cool. And so, you know, now there's no knob to change the fan speed, so you kind of have to slide that thing there. And then you have a separate rear, you can sync them and all that stuff. Same thing with your heated seat, cooled seat, 3-stage. The heated steering wheel is 3-stage as well, so it's high, medium, and low. But so there's a lot of things that you have to contend with if you're driving and you're not familiar with it. Then all of a sudden you're like, now I got to focus on this and figure it out. So if you're not familiar with it, thoroughly familiar with the system before you start driving, then it's going to be a little frustrating, if not dangerous, you know, because, you know, it's different. I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's not bad. It's just it's different, so therefore people have to get used to something new. And you don't want to do that while you're driving. As far as fun to drive, this is a really fun drive vehicle. If you like a manual transmission, which this vehicle is great with a manual transmission, then this is it's definitely exciting. The power, the gear ratios are really good. I mean, you can go at really low speeds, even in 6th gear, and the power of the engine is able to, you know, keep you going. Matter of fact, like even at slow speeds right now, it was telling me to go to 6th gear. So it kind of suggests for you to upshift, and I'm kind of glad it does that because I'm not used to a 6-speed. I'm used to a 5-speed, so I forget to put it in that 6th gear sometimes. So it kind of gives me a little reminder there, which is neat. And a lot of times when I'm not accelerating, I'll just skip 5th gear and go from 4th to 6th. because by that time I've already reached the speed limit. I'm just kind of cruising along, ready to set the cruise control or whatever. And what's cool about the cruise control is if you, let's say you set it, turn it on. Once you set it, and then you need to change gears. Well, let's say I can downshift. I got the cruise control on. I can downshift. It's still on. It doesn't disengage up or downshift, disengage the cruise control. Typically, a lot of vehicles will, as soon as you push in the clutch, it turns off the cruise control. But this one, you can shift gears and keep the cruise control on, you know, which is handy in case you, like in my case, forget to put it in 6th gear and then you need to go ahead and upshift after you've already activated the cruise control, and then so then you wouldn't have to reactivate it. I like that. There's other vehicles on the market that do that, but the fact that this one does it's good. And I use the cruise control a lot because it is a fast vehicle, and you tend to really blow past the speed limit quickly if you're not careful, especially when you first start driving it, because you're not familiar with the power and, you know, the speed and all that stuff. And it's fairly smooth and quiet, so, you know, you can go 70 and not really think about it too much. Starting off in 2nd gear is also possible too, because of the power of the engine. But once you get up to like 3rd or 4th gear, I mean, you're already reaching the speed limit already. So, like right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in 6th gear. Has a great clutch. I mean, the clutch is just right perfect. It didn't take, I mean, it took just minutes. Really, I just instantly just started driving it. I don't remember any real problem with trying to get adjusted to the clutch. Curves really good. I mean, it stays planted on the road. Right now it's kind of a bumpy road, so you can see it has a little bit of a road noise. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty quiet, solid vehicle. You have good visibility. Check out my night video. Excellent headlights. So yeah, there's a lot of pluses on the night video that I'm glad to see. But as far as just fun to drive, it has decent passenger space too. So it's not like it's a relatively small car, but I mean, you know, it's well designed and it's fun to drive, and I mean, it's definitely worth a test drive if they have any in stock. The GTI is probably sold out a lot, but you know, if you can find one in stock to test drive it, it's really good. Fuel economy is really good too. So my scores are going to be lower. So this is showing like 27 and a half. So probably going to be a little bit better than that, because, you know, I've been idling sometimes and, you know, driving real slow doing certain camera shots and stuff. So, you know, if you're just driving at normal speeds and stuff, it's probably get a little bit better than that.